Israel, simultaneously with this aid, is conducting again barbaric genocidal attacks in the Gaza Strip, killing 500 people in 3 days in multiple parts of Gaza. Who are they killing? Innocent civilians, as usual. They had a failed operation in Khan Yunis a couple of days ago. They tried to kidnap one figure from the Popular Resistance Committees and their armed group, the Brigades of Salah ad-Din. He combated them and they eventually assassinated him. Now, there were also other attacks coming from Al-Qassam brigades against 3 Israeli forces inside of the Gaza Strip using 2 explosive devices and 1 tandem missile. Against them, Israel confirmed that one of its terrorists in Gaza was also killed in the 401 brigade in the Gaza Strip. They're continuing to get repeated blows, and they're pretending like they're going ahead with this campaign simultaneously with the talks to potentially reach a ceasefire that we're not really seeing so far. Now, they're killing the people, they're starving them to death, they're allowing 9 aid trucks. How is that coming with the countries that supposedly applied pressure on Israel to force the aid into the Gaza Strip? Now, there is a very strong statement, very different tone coming from the United Kingdom and France and Canada. Joint statement coming from all of these countries stating that, well, that's not enough. What Israel is doing is not enough, and they need to allow more aid in to the Gaza Strip. They also threatened Israel with outright sanctions, saying we're going to have to sanction Israel if they continue down this path. The language that was used was also different than before. Well, slightly different than before. They said that what Israel's announced it got into Gaza was wholly inadequate. Immediately allow humanitarian aid, and it must be aligned with humanitarian principles. Again, calling Hamas to release the hostages, as they call them. They're saying Israel is risking breaching humanitarian law, as if, you know, the ICJ and the ICC didn't already conclude that. We condemn the abhorrent language used by the Israeli government, threatening that in their despair at the destruction of Gaza, civilians will start to relocate. Permanent forced displacement is a breach of international law. They continue to say that Israel must stop the settlements. It's undermining the viability of a Palestinian state. We support the efforts by the United States, Qatar, and Egypt to reach a ceasefire in Gaza. We need to work towards the implementation of a two-state solution. And they're also saying that they're willing to recognize a Palestinian state, with the threat of also having sanctions. Where was the sanction section in this report? We will not hesitate to take further action, including targeted sanctions. So what does this tell us about the position coming from European countries, the United Kingdom and Canada and France? Well, it's quite symbolic. It's very symbolic, and it's a change of tone, but it's also something else. It's showing you how much they're complicit and how much they are a participant in this genocide. How? Well, if they're using this power and this threat and this language now, they could have used it in day one, didn't they? When they were legitimizing the Israeli actions and not expecting everything to be exposed as it is now. They're showing how complicit they are, saying that, move, okay, change of position, continue all the way. start imposing these sanctions? Did the man show you that he stopped at any point? He didn't stop, and he's continuing. Enough is enough. Sanctions, boycott, divestment, and threaten them with military action to take down the apartheid regime immediately. This is what you need to do. Not threaten with sanctions after you've been participating for so long. But this just shows you how far Benjamin Netanyahu has reached. And he's not happy with this response, by the way. Israel, of course, commented on this report, said that it's an unusual threat from these countries, 3 Western powers. We will consider sanctions against Israel. And Netanyahu is calling it a reward for Hamas. They're saying it's a reward for Hamas. Netanyahu is telling them, therefore you can't have this. One day, after he himself confirmed that the same countries who are now speaking to him in this tone will take action or will threaten with some action against him. But the 9-8 trucks clearly didn't work. And the tone is rising from these countries. But it's not only that. The tensions are continuing with the United States of America. Now, in the United States, there are reports to the Washington Post coming from a source, Trump saying, "We'll abandon you if the war continues." US President Donald Trump has been increasing pressure on Israel over the recent attacks. An anonymous source told Washington Post on Monday that the United States will abandon Israel. Of course, some people are saying that this is too much, this is extreme. It's not really accurate that the United States will abandon Israel. However, we need to judge it based on the context. Has the United States been taking certain actions that are not in favor of Israel? Well, fact of the matter is yes. They completely had a ceasefire with Ansarullah. They went visited all of the Arab countries and they did not even look at Israel or Benjamin Netanyahu. The Secretary of Defense of the United States canceled the scheduled trip to Israel. And not only that, now J.D. Vance himself is canceling a scheduled visit to Israel due to the continued operation inside of the Gaza Strip. It's showing that there is some change. It's not stopping the genocide yet. It's not to the level required, of course. It's from countries who took part in legitimizing and supporting and facilitating all of this, and countries that have set up this problem from the get-go anyway. But there is some change due to the level of psychopathy and insanity coming from Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a level where J.D. Vance is canceling a visit now. He's not keeping anyone as an ally in the United States administration. And everyone is criticizing him in these countries with more and more threats of sanctions now. Not only that, the criticism internally inside of Israel is increasing too. With Yair Golan, who's the leader of the Democrats in Israel, New Democratic Party, now outright saying a sane country does not kill babies as a hobby. And apparently this statement is shaking Israel. They're so delusional and out of touch that this statement is shocking to them, or at least to some of them, when they've been slaughtering children for the past 18 months. That's apart from the children they were slaughtering previously. Over 20,000 babies, infants, children, kids inside of the Gaza Strip. However, now politicians even in Israel are saying that. This was considered taboo. I mean, criticizing the campaign in Gaza, the genocide in Israel, not long ago was a taboo, by the way. And Israel implemented certain laws in the state that ban people from criticizing it or watching what they call or label or deem as terror content. But now they have Yair Golan telling them, yeah, well, a sane country doesn't kill babies as a hobby. Confirming that his country is killing babies as a hobby. I mean, is there any other understanding? Yair Golan, an Israeli politician, is confirming that Israel kills babies as a hobby. And they're also viewing the big changes, more reports, more analysis, more articles about Trump abandoning Netanyahu. Trump tramples Netanyahu on the way to the nuclear deal with Iran. The campaign of humiliation has only just begun. This was another article in Ma'arif saying that the insults that Israel has recently suffered from the United States President Donald Trump are a result of Netanyahu's policies, which are systematically destroying American bipartisan support and, in the eyes of many, leading to Israel's downfall even further. They're talking about the days of apartheid. In Israel, they're talking about the days of South African apartheid. We're becoming like South Africa before countries started to boycott South Africa. That was Yair Golan, actually. Said Israel is on the way of becoming a designated state among the nations, the South Africa of old, if it does not return to be run as a sane state. I mean, that's arguable here, but you get the point. They're saying that we might have a South African case if we continue down this path. So all of this is happening. All of this is real. It's not like imaginary. There are tensions. There are certain moves. There are statements happening. There are, well, canceled visits. There's pressure. And there's also criticism. The criticism now is coming from Qatar. Qatar is a key country in the negotiations, of course. Qatar has been mediating for a very long time, and the leaders of the Palestinian movements are in Qatar. Now, one of the main Qatari figures in the negotiations, the Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, he's slamming Israel directly. He's criticizing Israel and saying that what they're doing is irresponsible, which limits any chance of peace. Usually, he made statements before about certain sides delaying the prospect of a ceasefire because of political reasons, according to him, without naming Benjamin Netanyahu. But now he's outright saying that at a very sensitive period, when this condemnation is coming from European countries, and when they are also applying pressure on Israel. So does that mean that that's it? No more negotiations, and now we need to take action? Someone needs to take action? Well, according to different sources, they're saying that this move coming from Al Thani is actually a move to try and apply pressure on Israel. There was this report here in MAN, which is a Palestinian news agency. Negotiations in Qatar are ongoing and the possibility of reaching an agreement remains. Qatari's prime minister's pessimistic statements regarding the stalled negotiations fall within the framework of political pressure on the concerned parties. There is no concerned parties. It's Israel. It's Netanyahu who is actually delaying everything. Now, according to them, they're going to continue and talk, and there's still some sort of hope for ceasefire talks. But, you know, the Qataris in some countries are also applying pressure to try and see if that makes a change. Is it going to make any difference? I mean, the talks about pressuring Israel to allow aid, Israel confirming that by the words of its foreign minister, show that, well, it pushes something to happen, but not to the adequate level, not to the level that is required for the people to have what they need inside of the Gaza Strip. And Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly done that before. I mean, what are they, insane? Are they incompetent, the leaders? Are they playing as if they don't know or don't understand? You have a war criminal. You have a war criminal. You allowed a war criminal to conduct a genocide in Gaza. You still allow him to conduct a genocide. Donald Trump Talk about hypocrisy. He was licking his boots basically in his first visit to the United States, moving his seat and oh yeah, welcome and everything. When he was a wanted war criminal, as he still is now, and Trump was threatening the ISIS, this is what you get when you don't comply with international law. This is what you get when you don't take concrete measures against war criminals. They become more and more arrogant and more psychopathic, and they continue to do what they want to do. Well, are we going to pretend like this is now all? No. You should have taken action against this man before to stop him from his barbaric genocide and stop the state of Israel completely. Dismantle apartheid in Israel. That's it. This is what you need to do. Don't talk to him about a Palestinian state here and there and two state. Dismantle the country, dismantle apartheid, Zionism, make it illegal, and then implement a one-state solution, simple, with equal human rights. It's very, very straightforward, but they like to make it appear as if it's too complicated. And oh, it's too complicated, it's difficult. No, it's not difficult to understand. It's not complicated. It's the most straightforward conflict on earth. You have a country ruling with religious and ethnic supremacy through terror and expulsion and genocide. And you have people who have been oppressed for the past century. Very simple.